Hello, and welcome back to Warrior Moms. I am Michele Davis. I am Carter's mom and Greta's.
And I'm Amy, and I am Alex's mom. And we are so thankful that y'all are back with us. I know it's been a while, but, I feel like that's the story of our lives lately, Michele.
I
Just
know.
running and going and doing and being and not connecting. And that's my heart. I don't know how you feel, but being disconnected is it gives me a different sense of being these days.
Yeah, I think it definitely fuels me for sure.
Yes.
And I definitely crave that connection. Somebody, who understands. I don't have to say anything to you, and we know exactly how we feel.
Yep. It does bring comfort in my day-to-day for some reason.
Yes, I
that
love
refuel, they say, fuel yourself. So anyway,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
fill my cup. I'm glad you're here to fill my cup. I am
Yay.
thankful. I am thankful, which will bring us to our
Yes, our discussion today. We're in the season of Thanksgiving, and one of the things that Amy and I were talking about is, all the holiday decor and, the table runners that say "Be thankful" and "blessed" and all of that,
grateful and
yes, and we feel all those things, but of course, with losing a child, the grief is deep. And there's a lot of times where, we question and wonder how we got here and why us, and it's hard to be thankful sometimes. And so today we just want to talk about that. How can you be intentional about finding some hope in the midst of also giving yourself that space in this season of Thanksgiving? And so we have a guest with us today.
And we also give you permission to be a little bit angry and unthankful at moments, as long as you're intentional about not staying there.
Yeah.
But yes, who do we have today, Michele?
So we have Jenny Stanley with us. Jenny, hello.
Hello, how are both of y'all?
So Jenny has been on our podcast before. She is Sydney's mom, and we're grateful that she is joining us today. It's just fun to add a different perspective, especially there's, a lot of different Thanksgiving sort of traditions. And so we thought it would be interesting to hear our different perspectives. So I think the first thing I wanted to talk about is just honoring really why we experience, this season of holidays, one after another in the fall, starting with just back to school, right? Is, what they call compounded grief, right? It's the missing of having our child at each of these events. And so what's your thoughts about kind of honoring that grief, I guess?
Well, it seems like that's when I fall back into my old pattern, which is not healthy, of why Sydney. I guess because you see the Hallmark movies and then the commercials, and the Publix commercials kill me every year.
Yeah.
As to why it just reiterates why Sydney. Why is everybody else? It feels like, why is everybody else? Why is the world so happy? But I'm not, because Sydney's not there. And to me, I guess more because it's all the traditions that we don't have anymore is what I'm missing, and questioning why don't we, or why can't we? So that's kind of the path that's unhealthy, but honestly, that's kind of where I go especially Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's just why.
It's so normal. And I think that was why we really wanted to start with that, is that it is 100% normal, is to question and to wonder why us and why our child, and to really face the grief and know that this is real, right? That it is not, it's not something you just get over. Like this year, it's going to happen every year on these special seasons. How about you, Amy, and where you are in the grief in these moments like Thanksgiving?
I kind of take a different approach. And yes, I'm not happy about it, but I do realize that it brings it more to the forefront of everybody's not going to be here forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that in a sad way. I mean that in like a real way.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to spend as much time with these people as I'm thankful they're all still here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thankful that we have the time to spend together. So, we drive from one state to the other, trying to see all the family and eat big and, get to see all the cousins and distant cousins. And, our grandparents aren't here anymore, which, that's sad, but that's expected. You plan for that. Like, okay,
Yeah.
well, once, this happens, then this will happen.
Right.
But like you said, with, since Alec has left, it's, there's just always, there's always an empty chair. And that's just the best way. There is always something missing. Somebody's always missing. And I do take a moment to honor that within me.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have like a big, moment around the table where we're like, oh, talk about, whatever. But we do have, we still find joy in the day.
Yeah.
We're still thankful for each other, thankful for our families, and thankful that we've all been so close for so long and we have each other. So yes, I'm still missing a piece, but I do find joy in the traditions. A lot of people go away from it and do something completely different, where I hold on to those traditions.
Mm-hmm.
They're comforting to me. The same food every year, that's comforting to me.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
anyway.
and that's one of the things that we wanted to talk about in those first, the first year after your child is, do you participate or not? And Amy, it sounds like that was something that did bring you comfort, even though your sadness was.
It
so
did bring
deep.
me comfort, and my family was really good at allowing me to go. I mean, there was times that I would spend in the room, in my room or the guest room or wherever we were, and I could just go in there, and they allowed me the space to have my own, and they didn't question or be like, why aren't you out here? Like when I was a teenager and I would retreat to the room, my mom would be like, you're just trying to avoid everybody. And yes, I was trying to avoid everybody, but I'm trying to avoid everybody in a different way. But I still tried to bring myself together to not avoid.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I could have avoided the whole time.
Yeah, but you were intentional about finding places to, like you said, your family is so close and you're clinging to that and being thankful for the time together.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Jenny? What did you participate or not? What did you do after you lost Sydney?
We did, and I try to keep it as normal as possible. But still, I'd go to my why, and why us or whatever. But, with the two boys, I wanted to make sure it was as consistent and as positive and as thankful as, because it's the boys. I mean, they were still, young. But I would have the thoughts, internal thoughts. I didn't vocalize them. One, people around you are not going to understand it. And then, then you kind of go back into the saying, well, you've got two boys, and, you start to go back with that. So it's just, to me, at that time, it was so raw, it was better to keep my mouth shut about something like that.
So with the little boys and stuff like that, were you able to retreat at some points and have your, what I call my pity party at some points in the day?
Not really.
Or did you have to suck it up and keep going?
So,
okay.
I had to suck it up and keep going because it was at our house, and, the grandmothers and the aunts and uncles, they were at our home. So I didn't feel like
you were the host.
I don't know if that helped or hurt, though, really. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes just keeping busy and having, that plan of, oh, I've got to cook and I'm hosting and that phrase, fake it till you make it, sometimes is, can be a positive coping mechanism for sure.
You said earlier, Jenny, that y'all change it up now. So how long did you continue to host Thanksgiving before y'all made changes?
I guess it was about maybe 3 or 4 years into it after her death that we did this. And the reason we did was my sister-in-law and her or her husband, were fairly somewhat recently married, and they built a home. So they decided that they wanted to have this at their home because neither of them had that opportunity to host Thanksgiving. And
were you like, heck yeah? Or did you have a hard time letting it go?
I had a hard time with that. I'm like,
Okay.
and it's kind of like, I don't really remember agreeing to that, but I guess so.
Maybe I was, yeah.
Onward and upward.
Okay. And, and then it was kind of like, okay, the things we do now that are traditions, I don't have it was good to make a change, but I still think about how much she would have enjoyed the new things we do. Like we fry turkeys. And then, the night before on Wednesday, it's like the adult night. It's adult night and the younger kids, the grandparents and all that aren't around. And we have a little party, but it's fun. But I just think about how she would be running around, and I still think of her as a 6-year-old. In my mind, she's still 6.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
One of the things my dad did the first Thanksgiving was just quietly, he went into the room, and my mom, of course, had a table set up and it was beautiful. And he just got an extra chair and he set an extra place.
Oh.
And then he put a little card, of course, with Carter's name on it. And, we all cried our little hearts out when we first saw it. But now that's something we do every year, is hold a spot at the table, even if we're apart and we're all having, 5 or 6 different Thanksgivings across the country. Each of us, my sisters, my mom and dad, we just hold a spot at the table for Carter.
That's awesome. I like that idea.
Yeah. You know, what's funny is the first, or I can't remember if it was, I think it was the second Thanksgiving that Alec was gone. And it just so happened we were out on the deck and everybody was sitting or whatever like that. And the chair next to me just happened to be empty.
Oh.
Like it was, because there's different places. And in my mind, I was like, that's Alec. I don't know if anybody else like thought that at that moment, but I was like, oh, there's Alec. And I'd be like, are you eating the ham? You're eating the ham because you don't like the turkey, don't you? But you love the ham,
Yeah.
No, you got to try the turkey. Come on, try the turkey.
Yeah, but it gave me joy, which is so weird, as opposed to sadness.
No,
but then the next day it could have made me cry,
Right. Right. Well, and that was, seeing, of course, that chair. We all cried, but yet it was this sweetness, that my dad did that and wanted me and Jeremy and Greta to know that, he's not physically here, but,
Now, how did y'all do the first year? Because how was the first year?
Yeah, the first year, gosh, we had a funeral in Georgia, and then we had a funeral in South Dakota. So we had been home late September, and so we didn't, turn around and come back. So we were by ourselves for that first Thanksgiving. Or we were going to be by ourselves. And my sister Melanie was like, that's just not going to work. And so she flew out. But the exhaustion was so immense. And we had just moved a month prior to that. And bless little Greta's heart, she was 8 years old. And I had put on the counter, like the green beans and the cream of mushroom. And I had set out the recipes and, for the next day, and the the pie and just all the things I had put on the counter. And I, slept in really late and get up, and she had gone in and had made the green bean casserole, and she made pumpkin pie, and she figured out how to, make mashed potatoes. And I was just absolutely amazed. And it was, I cried about that too. But it was also just such joy and a good reminder about, like you said, Jenny, about, just keep going, that you have the boys, we have Greta, Amy, like it's a good reminder, like we are here and we need to be intentional about finding that joy and celebrating together, even if it is also sad.
I think my family took more of the approach that some people take, about not mentioning it. she was in the prayer. It was said, and for those who aren't with us, but that was kind of the end of it. It was not, there wasn't a chair. There wasn't any recognition of her, and that she wasn't there to help, kind of still participate. No, that sounds crazy, but to still kind of halfway participate in Thanksgiving. So at that point, and still kind of, it's, don't say her name or that standpoint is what really happened in our family.
Ours too. I mean, and it's still to this day is kind of like that. I mean, we're very Southern, you just don't
talk about that.
Huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's true all over. It's just, my dad is, I mean, he's just, I don't know, he's a beautiful man, and he's just going to push forward in a way that I think we probably would have been the same like y'all and not said something. We maybe would have mentioned Carter in the prayer, but, he just led that day like, well, we are going to celebrate both being there and not,
Yeah.
Well, and
this is great.
I go off topic all the time because, that's
what you do.
But it's kind of, so putting it out there, Jenny, I'm just going to ask you, did that make you sad, or was it like, this is just the way it is?
It was a little bit of both. And it was kind of like, well, crap, I guess we're just not going to talk about her. It's like it was sad. It was really sad. But then on the other hand, I could fight back the tears. So it was a little bit of both. I would have much rather have talked about her, when I suck up the tears than kind of like,
well,
like,
and I'm kind of like
off subject.
Yeah. Well, like for me, it's like that first year or two, like I was fine, but then it was like afterwards, like a few years afterwards, I'm like, why don't we do any, like once you kind of come out of that fog of, we need to acknowledge this, I mean, granted we have, but I don't want to make it the center of attention either. But, so I do just bring up his name during the, we'll talk about, do you remember that year that, or, whatever. So that's kind of how we are comfortable in doing that. But like I said,
and I think that's, kind of our last topic is really kind of, these tips for how can we have self-compassion. And I think that's part of it. We've heard just the three of us who had three different ways of handling, Thanksgiving in those first couple years and even still today. And there's no rules, we're entering year 9 of not having Carter at Thanksgiving, which is just astounding to say out loud. Chokes me up. And we might have a new tradition, like it's okay, I think, to lean in and add things to our traditions, just like we do, when our kid was here.
And I do think we get stuck in a rut. Speaking from us, it's you get stuck in a rut of I don't know. You want to keep things the same, but yet, because you don't want to forget how that was.
I know. Yeah.
And so it's like you stay true to but I mean, I even talk about that, like when my grandparents were alive, like our family tried so hard to keep with doing everything the way we did when they were alive. But at the same time, we can't do it because we're all growing so much and, growing families and doing all that. We can't all coordinate, but that's where the dagger hurts is if we had changed, then I won't be able to remember him being here because we moved it here and I never had the memory of him there. Like that's something I think that deviating from the tradition hurts my heart more than relieves it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like you were saying, some people go do completely different things and that makes them feel better.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wish I'd been more vocal. I wish I'd been more, I love the idea of the chair. I didn't think about it until you've said it, but I wish I'd been more vocal or more included her in conversations and what
Mm-hmm.
silly things she may have done or what she may have done at that time or something, as opposed to falling into the trap of, like avoidance of
Yeah.
me trying to
Well,
make everybody comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I
well, let's be honest. That's what it is, Jenny.
it is.
Yeah.
I was trying to make everybody
Well, and I
comfortable and
think
not bring up a sad subject.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the reality is that that's part of who we are. And if that's something that's on your heart, and even if, maybe it's uncomfortable with the bigger group, but that you do it in a small way with your own, little family. And I'll tell you, yeah, it's sad, but it's amazing the different perspectives that people remember of our child or things, and you're like, oh my gosh, and so of course it's painful and sad, but then it's so sweet, you just get something just precious out of it. So if I would encourage anyway to push through and say, hey, I know we haven't said her name at Thanksgiving, but this year I want to. I want to, have a chair or have a candle on the table that's just for her.
Well, and that's my question is, when do you think it's too late ever? Like if you didn't start it in the first 5 years, can you start it again? Or can you start something like that?
I'd feel weird about it, frankly, just because it's just like, oh, okay, I'm throwing this wrench into everything, but that's a horrible way to say it, but it's, I'm kind of disrupting things again. I would feel like if I made it so obvious, I guess, as opposed to that. But I think I will talk more about it, though, for sure.
Yeah, I think whatever feels comfortable, you have to find that. But gosh, I would hope that it's never too late, that.
Yeah. But I'm with you, Jenny. I would feel weird. Here we are going into this. We're into the 6th year of Alec, and I don't think that I could just put a plate, a chair out. That just for example, I couldn't just put a chair out and be like, hey.
Here we go.
I would feel awkward about that too.
But it makes perfect sense to say, y'all, I have been in just a fog and now I'm at this other place and I want to be intentional with honoring that Alec isn't here. I mean, that's perfectly fine. Don't put, these parameters on yourself.
Yeah.
You're sitting at a table with people who absolutely love each of you.
Yes.
And loved Alec and loved Sydney. And
if they hadn't met him, like I know, Jenny, both your boys or just one of them got engaged?
Yeah, just one, Logan.
Just one. Yeah, he just
and we can talk about it now. We can talk about it now. It's not a secret. We can talk about it now. It's not a secret. No, it's not.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
We won't allow this one to air until it's
No, it's all good. And she said yes. So she said yes, which is great.
We bring new people into, our family traditions. And I just hope and would pray for each of you that you find a way that feels good to. For the rest of my life, I would encourage any new griever or old griever. It is never too late, because I mean, we all go through these different stages, and all of a sudden you have a better capacity to face and do things that, we just weren't strong enough to do the year prior.
Yeah.
So give ourselves grace, I guess, is our message.
Yeah.
Yes. However, whatever form that is, right?
And if you decide not to do it, then, maybe it's a quiet space and you journal a little letter, or you at night before bed, you say a prayer, or you just talk directly to your child. I mean, there's lots of ways to honor them without, changing any of the current traditions too.
And who you are.
Yeah.
You got to be true to who you are. So.
Yeah. Exactly.
Sure. So.
Yes. Well,
I'm so glad you got back on here with us.
I know this. I like talking, because it's one, I like talking just in general, but two, it's like you guys said at the very beginning, we don't have to explain it to each other, or it's just, we had a bad day and both of you would know exactly what I was talking about without any question. So it's comforting. Like you said,
it's very comforting.
Yes,
for sure. So.
It is, absolutely. And thanks for sharing, y'all. As we know that, as women, we want to offer comfort and this coziness to our families in this season of Thanksgiving. And, I just want to encourage y'all and our listeners just that, it's okay to just be thankful where you are in that moment. And it's okay just to take it exactly where you are. Like Amy says, feel the feels and give yourself grace and lean in when you can. And, take it one day at a time.
Yeah. Well, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope
Happy
you have a good one.
Thanksgiving.
You
Yes.
too.
All right.
Bye.
Take care,
All right,
ladies.
bye.
Bye.